Welcome to Empower Half an Hour, a mental health podcast that brings firsthand interviews and testimonies to you.
Welcome to Empower Half an Hour. I'm your host, Brandon Spatz. Today we have Anna Sackett-Roundtree joining us. Anna is the Director of Communications for Clubhouse International. Anna holds a master's degree in International Affairs from New School University and a bachelor's in Political Science with a double minor in French and International Relations from Binghamton University. She has worked as an associate producer at CBS 60 Minutes, as an assistant human rights officer at the United Nations, where she wrote analytical reports on human rights resolutions, and as an editor at the International Rescue Committee, where she wrote and edited the governance and rights sector framework. Welcome to the podcast, Anna.
Thank you. It is my pleasure to be here with you, Brandon.
We are so glad to have you in today. So we've had two past episodes featuring the worldwide organization Clubhouse International. We had the COO, Jack Yatsko, talking about how to start a clubhouse in your community, as well as what a clubhouse is. Then we had Ryan Smith, who was a clubhouse generalist at Magnolia Clubhouse in Cleveland, Ohio. So really getting a look at all different areas of this amazing organization. So it's really exciting to have Anna on today to talk about her role in Clubhouse International as the Director of Communications. Anna, what role does the Director of Communications play within Clubhouse International?
So I think we are at a pivotal point at Clubhouse International regarding marketing and branding and communications. It's very exciting. I get very, very excited and could talk for a long time about it. But, of course, a bit daunting. I think to take it back a bit, to understand the historical picture, the focus has always been, as it should be, on creating community and resource systems for people living with mental illness. And a lot of the focus was on the programmatic side of building the clubhouse and the focus on being a local resource for people. And that absolutely continues to be. But as we've seen times change and social media and marketing and branding become an integral part of society, it is becoming, it's very clear that we need to do more in strengthening and developing the Clubhouse brand and all of our communications materials. We have currently 335 clubhouses in 34 countries and counting, which is very exciting. And we need to do the best that we can to unify the network, to use consistent language and messaging, to demonstrate the power of the Clubhouse model and our incredible network that is around the world, and be able to amplify the Clubhouse brand. So our role at Clubhouse International, and my role, is to inspire and connect. And about 2 years ago, the Director of Communications position that I hold now was created. And I'm very proud of our success so far, and I'm looking forward to growing that success. It's such an integral piece in when we start new clubhouses, which I'm sure we'll talk about, Brandon, throughout this podcast. And when we are supporting existing clubhouses, it's very important that the Clubhouse brand is recognizable and that the whole world knows that it's a proven model, that it works everywhere, it's effective, it's cost effective, it's sustainable. So I think so much of our work right now, and in particular my work, is unifying and connecting the club and amplifying the Clubhouse brand.
That is amazing. 335 clubhouses is a huge impact on the mental health community. Being able to get the word out and using consistent branding and marketing can only further the impact. I feel like including social media would make the efforts both challenging and easier.
Absolutely. We have so many resources at our fingertips to be able to raise visibility. And that is just, I think as I said, it's so exciting to me. At Clubhouse International, we focus on Facebook. That still has the largest reach of all social media platforms. And we see that with the Clubhouse constituency, that is still has the largest audience. But Instagram is growing rapidly, which is awesome. We can do Instagram lives, which are really fun with clubhouses around the world. We do a club tour, so we visit different clubhouses. And so our external constituency, as well as the internal Clubhouse network, can see what's going on in a clubhouse in London, for example, or in Ohio. And it's been, obviously with YouTube, we have LinkedIn, which is great for connecting more for the careers and with some of our more academic partners. So there's just these great ways. We call them distribution channels. There's great ways, and they're accessible and they're pretty easy. So it's really fun. I'm going to share just a little bit more with about what we're doing at Clubhouse International to strengthen and connect the Clubhouse brand. So a new initiative that we've started is that I connect with each new Clubhouse director or if it's a new clubhouse, completely new clubhouse, to share materials that are useful in raising awareness for the clubhouse and in promoting the fact that the clubhouse is a member of a global, award-winning, innovative network. Not everybody knows that. And I think it's super helpful when you're going to promote your clubhouse. This network is changing communities around the world. So we have press releases that we share. We share materials, and those, for example, press releases about awards that we've won and recognitions from the World Health Organization, the American Psychiatric Association. We have infographics that share information about mental illness and how we are a proven solution, and articles. We have a couple of new videos. I also have begun meeting with clubhouses one-on-one to help with their website copy and to make sure that we have consistent messaging. And I'd love to help every clubhouse, unfortunately, until we figure out a way to clone me. We don't have the bandwidth for that, but I think that we're already seeing that it's paying off, and it's pretty cool to be. And I get to work with so many amazing people. So
That's incredible, starting with the fact that our local clubhouses are part of a bigger organization. Especially when people walk in off the street and visit a clubhouse, they may think that it's just an individual organization, but it's far more than that. Having those press releases, social media, and resources you provide really helps connect the clubhouse to the bigger picture.
absolutely. We also, you just made me think about this, Brandon, but I think it's, to anybody listening, we always welcome sharing Clubhouse news on our social media channels. We have a spotlight series in our monthly Clubhouse newsletter that features members and staff from clubhouses around the world. And we revamped our Clubhouse newsletter now, and there's a section that is dedicated to highlighting Clubhouse events, major events, and stories, member testimonials from around the world, so that the Clubhouse network can be really more aware of what's going on in other clubhouses. It's helpful and it's inspiring.
I think that's a really great idea to do, especially doing a spotlight on members' testimonials, which really shows how effective this organization really is. A lot of times with people with mental illness, they go through years of suffering, and when they do get in recovery and get involved in organizations like Clubhouse International, it really shows that recovery is recovery, and it doesn't matter if you live in Denmark or New York. People recover in the same way, and I feel like Clubhouse International really shows that. When we look at Clubhouse International, why is membership so important?
Oh, this is a great question. So strengthening the clubhouse, it is so important to when clubhouses. I'll start by giving an example. So there's a clubhouse in Utah that was approached by a major donor who was hosting a music festival. And they were super excited about donating the proceeds to the local clubhouse and supporting them, and which was all going to happen anyway. But then the director shared that they were part of a global network, and the host of the music festival just, I mean, it was just like he started beaming, and he said, this is even better because now I have artists coming from around the world. I have staff and, people that are involved in running the festival from around the world. Now I can showcase that not only are we helping the local community, but they're a part of a network that's around the world. And so there's so many, it really just like bolstered his message to his community and enable to strengthen the work that he was doing. So, we have so many stories that we hear like that, but I was lucky to be able to work with the team a little bit on that. And it was really cool to be a part of those conversations and see how much it meant to them to see that it was a local resource and solution and also a global resource and solution. So, I think, being a member of Clubhouse Internationals, we're united by the 37 Clubhouse standards and the quality assurance process, the accreditation process, as we call it. It's so important for funders, for new people who want to learn about us, for families who are wondering, is this a place where it's safe and a healthy environment to send our loved one? I mean, it's really, really important for a member when they're deciding if they want to join a clubhouse. Like, you want to know that you're joining something that is a proven solution. And I think being a member of a global network is it's so important. As I mentioned earlier, we're recognized by the World Health Organization as a solution for people living with mental illness and an integral part of communities and an integral part of community mental health care. We are awarded the very prestigious Hilton Humanitarian Award and the Pardes Prize Award. I mean, these are awards that reflect our dedication to people living with mental illness and to amplifying that voice of lived experience. And again, this is all just, if you're a member of Clubhouse International, these are awards that you can showcase to your local community. And that is, it's very helpful.
Absolutely, especially having those resources to back up the individual clubhouses. When we have people come to visit the clubhouse, some people may be skeptical on what a clubhouse is and what benefits it offers using the clubhouse model. But having those resources to provide, showing that we are part of a bigger organization that is accepted by the World Health Organization, can make all the difference, especially when a clubhouse is trying to grow membership and acceptance in local communities. What is the Clubhouse International Network?
The network is the 335 clubhouses from 34 countries, as I stated earlier, and counting. And it follows this quality, it's a network of accredited clubhouses. So there's quality assurance there. The clubhouses, again, all attend training that are either by Clubhouse International or one of our 12 training centers around the world. A strong, united network is more easily recognizable to the general public. And so it's really important if you're an accredited clubhouse. The network is our 300, to be clear, the network is our 335 clubhouses. And each one of them, it is so important that are either accredited or working towards accreditation. And that is really important, again, because a strong united network is more easily recognizable, and to people seeking to learn about mental illness, to families, to healthcare providers, it really runs the gamut. And clubhouses also, once you're within the network, you have this amazing opportunity to share best practices, to learn from other clubhouses. I mean, we hear that. I just was meeting with a clubhouse yesterday, and they're saying it's one of their favorite parts of being a part of the Clubhouse network is that they're able to call on another clubhouse when they have the same size as theirs, or similar size, when they have a question. They can learn at the Clubhouse International World Seminar or USA Conference or other trainings that we provide. They can meet with other Clubhouse members and staff. They can learn from them, share share ideas. And I think it's really important to be able to share and learn from people who are doing the same work that you're doing and living with those similar experiences. So the network provides this like amazing environment that's safe, and it's all about learning and bettering oneself and each other and supporting. And that's an amazing thing. I mean, so many times we don't have access to people with lived experience who are, sharing the same things that we may be feeling on any given day. And I think that's really important. Utilizing a Clubhouse resource such as the Transitional Employment Program, it's great to hear from another member across the world who's doing this, utilizing the same program in their recovery. So the Clubhouse International Network is so important because it's a community, it's a family, it's a safety net, it's a support system, and we just are so appreciative of all the Clubhouses, members and staff that make up the Clubhouse network. And we are continuing to grow, which is pretty cool.
That is definitely cool. And like you said, it's a family. So sharing those resources is very needed for that type of community. Also, having open communication set up to be able to reach out to anyone in the Clubhouse International Network is great for getting projects done, as well as finding experts in different areas that can help solve problems. I definitely have used the Clubhouse International Network when building this podcast. How can Clubhouses demonstrate their connection to the Clubhouse International Network?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think following Clubhouse International on whatever social media channel that your Clubhouses use is a great first step. Meeting, I'm happy, and Brandon, I'm sure you'll share. We can share my email address, contact information with the podcast. But I'm happy to, as I said earlier, to schedule a meeting with your Clubhouse to be able to figure out the best way to promote the Clubhouse model. I think, really drawing on those resources that we have, which again, I'm happy to send. So the press release, these awareness raising and visibility raising materials that we have at Clubhouse International that we would love to share. We also have a few videos. There's one video that's talking about, how you talk about mental health and some of the misconceptions. And so those are good things to share with your constituencies. And again, really important to share the recognition. I mean, a lot of people and families, funders, whoever they may be, they want to know that you're part of a model and that's recognized. So I think those are very important. Being able to be able to be consistent with that messaging and to make sure that message, I think that's something that it's a work in progress, and I'm pleased with where we are, but we have a long way to go. I'm very honest about that. I think we need to do much better with having consistent messaging throughout the Clubhouse network. Yeah, I have more to say on that, but about promoting within the community. Should I just jump into that, Brendan? Or okay. Well, so you can tell I'm excited about it. I think two major components about that are part of amplifying your Clubhouse and the Clubhouse model, and that you're a part of the Clubhouse network, promoting yourselves, are storytelling and partnerships. And of course, they kind of go hand in hand. But storytelling it's communication. Communication leads to connection, and connection leads to collaboration. I really cannot say that enough. It is so important. And I think when we collaborate as humans, we more often than not achieve our goals, which is pretty cool. And then, going back to the voice of lived experience, and one of the Clubhouse network is the only network of people living with serious mental illness who are active in running a Clubhouse, in recovery, in helping others. I mean, that's it's a really unique thing that we have. And it's so important that, when you go to a clubhouse, you don't know who a member and staff is. And that's the way it should be, because we're all we all have our strengths, and we should all be treated with the same dignity and respect. And we want to showcase that. We want to really everybody, we always joke that, not enough people know about Clubhouse. And when they do, they say, oh, how do we not know about this? It's the most amazing thing. But part of getting through that is that storytelling. So amplifying that voice of lived experience, doing that through, and this is, member tours, testimonials on your social media, on your website, your communications materials. There's any number of ways to share member stories, which I think is so important. And then that ties into partnerships. So starting with employer and education partnerships, those are always my go-tos, because they're already, in a lot of clubhouses, they're already solidified relationships that a clubhouse already has. So we call them low-hanging fruit. They're already networks that we can tap into, that know and trust us, and we know and trust. So, start with, employer and education partners, and ask them to share maybe a testimonial of their experience, their partnership with the clubhouse. Share on their social media. It's such a great, easy, free way, and have them tag your clubhouse. Then their entire constituency is learning about you, and it didn't cost you anything. So highly, highly recommend that cross collaboration on and cross promotion on social media. The partnerships, you can also, if there's local, hospitals and universities, places that you have these relationships, or where you can start, organize presentations. You can organize your chambers of Congress, Lions Club, Kiwanis clubs. We just produced a paper on connections to Rotary. There's so many clubhouses around the world that have really amazing, fruitful relationships with their local Rotaries. And so we're trying to encourage more clubhouses to do that. Vocational rehabilitation offices, mental health service providers in the communities, speakers bureaus. There's so many ways. So I get connected and to the local activities, and identify the partners who you could do a presentation to, and or have them promote what you do on your social media and websites. And the same thing for you. The clubhouse does that. It's mutually beneficial.
So for the clubhouses looking to build partnerships, it really comes down to reaching out and starting to build those relationships. Then using your members and their testimonials to secure the partnership for your clubhouse. Member testimonials are extremely powerful to promote your clubhouse. Partnerships for Clubhouse really helps the overall clubhouse to thrive in their community. Finding those partnerships, like you mentioned, whether it's the local hospitals or speaker bureaus, can really be beneficial to both sides when it comes to promoting each other, which is really a great way to get exposure in the community. So we've talked about the Clubhouse International Network, why membership is so important, and what Clubhouse International is. But now I'd like to talk a bit about your past before you came to Clubhouse International. How has your education and your past employment prepared you for your current position at Clubhouse International as the Director of Communications?
Oh man, I could talk a lot about this. So ever since I was little, it's like it's a joke in my family, because I just wanted to be a public defender, so that I could be a voice for people who didn't have the financial capability to advocate for themselves. And little 3-year-old me was walking around saying that this was, I wanted to advocate for people and be their voice. And, as life is wont to do, my plans kind of changed, mostly due to the major recession. But I kind of felt, I didn't know that I wanted to go down the legal path, and that I wanted to do, so I found a graduate program in international affairs, and that focused on human rights and how governance relates to, and shapes and policy shapes human rights and supports or is supposed to support. And I found that fascinating. So it was kind of like, okay, I'm in, and I love the aspect of being able to learn about all different cultures and respecting how we are all unique, and how from even county to county, there are differences, but how we're also innately connected as human beings. And there's just this fundamental beauty that I find that every human being wants and needs and absolutely deserves to be heard, and to be respected. And that's, that from the little me to now, I mean, that is something that I've never wavered on, and it means so much, and it drives everything that I do. So as you mentioned earlier with my resume, and I will admit that I was very happy working at 60 Minutes, and thought about staying, but a job opened at Clubhouse International, and I was really interested in getting back into really into the nonprofit world, and a global agency that was really being that voice for people with lived experience really spoke to me. And I jumped in and haven't looked back. I come from a very large family, very closely knit family, and my friends. I have tremendous friendship, lifelong friendships, and I really believe that they're a large part, that I owe large part to my success to them and my support, and just it's really meant so much to me that I've always had this amazing support system built in, and I want that. Not everybody has that due to any varying, there's so many reasons why not. But I think one of the things I love about Clubhouse is kind of like that built-in family. And then when you look at the greater Clubhouse International network, it's just it's an extension. It's the larger family. So it's like your local Clubhouse is your immediate family, and then the Clubhouse International network is your extended family. And that's amazing, because we all need and want that support, and people to share ideas with, to learn from, and so that led me there. And communicating, I could talk to people. I'm the type of person who could sit on a street corner and just talk to people all day long. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love learning from people. I love hearing all about their past experiences and what they like and don't like. And so communications to me is just a wonderful place to be. It kind of brings in, hopefully it draws on my strengths and of being able to kind of distill messaging and try to get messages out there, but also draws on my love of people and human nature, and being able to connect people, and be people's voice when needed.
Honestly, I think you picked the right career, especially with Clubhouse International. Even when you look back to when you said you were at the age of 3 and you wanted to help people, you now get to help people on the daily. Now, looking forward, what does the future of marketing and branding look like for Clubhouse International?
It's really, really important that we do a better job at being consistent with our messaging. I feel like I'm going to be talking about this a lot, and that's okay. We historically, as I mentioned earlier, our clubhouses were, it was kind of built on this idea that each clubhouse was its own entity and was serving their local constituency. And that's great. And that's as a part of how it should be. But we've really come to see how much being a part of a global brand, being a part of a larger network, the same way I just said about being part of a larger family. I mean, it's really beneficial. And we've had so many clubhouses come to us and say, it's just really important that we are showcasing to our constituencies that we are a part of, a larger network, and then it's not just our local clubhouse. And so, I think that really starts with, unfortunately, we didn't start off with asking Clubhouses. I mean, I think, we're really encourage all Clubhouses to have the Clubhouse International logo on their communications materials and websites. When a Clubhouse is accredited, absolutely having the accreditation logo. These are things that make it easily recognizable for funders or family, whoever it is that's coming to look at your materials. It's really, you want something that's going to pop out at them. Absolutely using the Hilton Award graphic and for the U.S. Clubhouses, the APA graphic that demonstrates that we're recognized by the American Psychiatric Association. So, being able to feature more prominently our unity and connection, and to be more consistent with that messaging. I think, we see so many definitions of what is a clubhouse and what is the Clubhouse International Network. And, we need to be very concise and consistent with that language. It will be very helpful to people who are trying to get to know us better. And so I know that's a major push for us right now. And, being able to be there as much as possible for all the Clubhouses to support them in their communications needs. I'm very aware that many Clubhouses don't have, they don't have the bandwidth to have somebody who focuses on communication. So being able to try to support Clubhouses as much as we can in that. We are developing a toolkit right now that will have some best practices and sample messaging and graphics that will hopefully be useful to Clubhouses. But very important to share. Another piece is when we have recognition, example being mentioned in the Lancet, it's important that is demonstrated by Clubhouse International and all of the Clubhouses. Sharing on social media, as we talked about earlier. I mean, there's a real at no cost value to utilizing some social media channels and utilizing those vehicles as distribution channels and as awareness raising channels.
Definitely. And making sure everything stays consistent, like things with social media and branding. I would imagine that it's very difficult that there are 335 Clubhouses to work with. Now, when we look at doing marketing with Clubhouses, what are some of the barriers that come up with when we are talking about the independent Clubhouses and Clubhouses with auspice agencies? Given that Clubhouses with auspice agencies are a program of their agency, and it can make it harder to get the approval and get the newer logos and other changes in terms of branding and marketing.
That is a great question. And one that we're really trying to figure out. And apologies, and this answer it's a bit convoluted just because that is the nature of it, of the situation. So our freestanding Clubhouses, it's much easier of course, because then you can have your own logos and branding, and you can, have say in everything that's put out in your communications materials. Then I break it into 3 tiers. So we have the freestanding Clubhouses, and then within the auspice agencies, there's 2 subsets. Because one, there's a few auspice agencies, actually quite a few, that are phenomenal. They completely understand the Clubhouse. They want to support the Clubhouse. They want the Clubhouse to have their own social media channels and their own brand. They recognize the value in the Clubhouse promoting itself and promoting the fact that it's part of an international network. And then we have a few auspice agencies that are just like, the Clubhouse is kind of buried on their website underneath a few other programs, and it's pretty hard to find. I was just looking for one last week, and I was like, how is anybody ever going to find this?
So like another program, right?
Yeah, it's just a program within something else. And so a couple of things. So it speaks to, and I'm so glad you asked this question for many reasons, but one of them is it circles back to why is the Clubhouse International Network important? It's really, when you think about, say I always try to put myself in someone's shoes, because, and think what you would think. So imagine you're learning about a new solution, mental health care solution, and you are confronted, you have to learn what is a Clubhouse, which not ever, it's one thing in and of itself. Then you have to know that we're part of a larger Clubhouse International Network, and then that you have to understand the auspice agency. And those are three tiers that can be pretty difficult for people who, we all know that everybody wants to know in the classic elevator pitch what they need to know. And especially these days, we see that you need to be so quick in sharing your purpose. And so that can be really, the waters get very muddy with when you add the auspice agency. It's just another tier, another level that people have to navigate in understanding the impact of Clubhouse. We just want to get through to everyone what the impact of Clubhouse is and how it changes lives and communities. And that's pretty difficult to do when you're having to try to explain the auspice agency and everything. So there's a few auspice agencies that I just worked with one in Pennsylvania. They're amazing. I help, write the copy for the website. Clubhouse has its own website on social media within the auspice agency, and very clearly stated on the top of the website, it says, so this is my recommendation, say that this auspice agency is, that the Clubhouse is a part of the auspice agency, and then clearly states what the Clubhouse does and that they're a part of the Clubhouse International Network. It's very clear on the website. Another Clubhouse, the Frontier Clubhouse is a great example in Colorado. They have a footer on their website that says that they're affiliated, who they're affiliated with, they're a member of their auspice. It's just very concise and clearly laid out on their website. So that's absolutely my recommendation. And it lends itself back to the importance of the network and having this clear and concise branding and messaging. I don't have an answer for the other auspice agencies. I mean, again, as I just said, it varies. But we try to work with them or try to do more of that one-on-one to educate them about the Clubhouse model and the importance of the Clubhouse having its own communications materials and things like that. So sorry, that was a very long answer, but it's extremely important question. I think a lot of freestanding clubhouses, I don't understand, they shouldn't, but how the challenges sometimes of being a part of an auspice agency can be. And we have other clubhouses where being a part of the auspice agency is amazing. So, it runs the gamut.
Absolutely. Having the education piece can help because at the end of the day, you can't change your auspice agency's overall mission or its values as an organization. But using education can help build understanding and help provide what a clubhouse can do for their communities and as a program of the auspice agency. All this relates back to Clubhouse International's accreditation, which will be discussed in a future episode. What is being done currently to promote the Clubhouse model and the clubhouses around the world?
Some of the things I mentioned earlier about the getting involved in community civic activities, the Rotary Club is a great example of, we've seen real success in clubhouses. Notifications in clubhouses, connecting with the Rotary Club, the local Rotary clubs, and Rotarians getting really involved, either becoming board members, donating things to the clubhouse, just supporting events, and just really being more people to raise awareness. And as we, mentioned earlier, the Chamber of Congress and Lions Club, Veterans Administration offices are really important. That's a great way for a clubhouse to connect there. Getting press releases out to local newspapers about your clubhouse, the accomplishments. Again, always focus on member voices and, member success stories with education, employment, whatever it may be. We've seen a lot of success with clubhouses that host annual employer awards dinners. That's one of the major ones, because it just is it's highlighting the member success, which is the most important, but it's also the employer feels, it's recognizing the employer and it's drawing on all of that entire network that the employer has. And so you could imagine that really pays dividends, and it's been really cool to see. It broadens the scope and that where, it just reaches so many more people. Open houses are another great way for clubhouses to familiarize themselves, familiarize the community with the clubhouse model. Yeah, one of the cool things about COVID and everyone being remote is, we've seen a lot of clubhouses be able to do Zoom presentations for universities or hospitals, places that maybe they wouldn't have been able to get the time to go to in person. But it's pretty easy to put together a presentation about your clubhouse and present it for a half hour, 45 minutes, or an hour. Clubhouse International, we've done a bunch with some major companies, for example, TJX, and there's a monthly employee resource meeting that they've asked us to attend several times over the past 2 years, so we can share about the Clubhouse model and the Clubhouse network. So, and I'm again happy offline to connect with anybody that's interested in putting together a presentation for that.
That's a really good point. Talking about COVID, I feel like the clubhouses around the world really work together to further not only the local impact, but the international impact as well during COVID, which is amazing. What events does Clubhouse International have coming up?
Love that question. So we host several campaigns each year. These are some of my favorite. I just think that they're a great way to be inclusive of the Clubhouse network and to get as many members and staff, anybody who's interested, involved. And they're a great way to showcase that we are united and that to raise visibility. We kind of does all of that at one time, which I love. So and strengthen, and then that all in turn helps strengthen the Clubhouse model and the helps be able to quote unquote sell it better to people who are interested in learning about it. So coming up, starting next week, we have we kick off May as Mental Health Awareness Month. We are hosting a campaign focusing on our unique and successful transitional employment program. We are asking clubhouses from around the world to share member testimonials, just 1 to 3 sentences, accompanied by a photo of the member. And we also encourage clubhouses to share with Clubhouse International. We'll be sharing them across our social media network channels and tagging the clubhouse, of course. So this is we're talking earlier about cross promotion. And we encourage clubhouses to do the same, to share a story and to tag Clubhouse International. You can also do that with the employers. It's great to have employer testimonials. That's a great way to raise that visibility. And then again, as we said, just tag the employer. That's, it's usually a great way to spread recognition. Each year we host, then following at the end, we are running our Clubhouse Giving Day campaign, which is, we have right now almost 40 participating clubhouses, and that is to raise funds and awareness for each local clubhouse, but again, ties into the whole message of this podcast that we are supporting local communities, strengthening local communities, and also growing the Clubhouse International Global Network and how all those pieces fit together, and so that we can reach more people and better support people living with mental illness. So more on our website. Absolutely go check it out about Clubhouse Giving Day. It's a very small cost depending on your clubhouse's budget to join. Registration deadline is May 1st. So if anybody's listening wants to join, please do so. Each year we host my favorite, which is World Mental Health Day campaign. That is for October 10th, but we start the campaign in the summer because we all know with social media, the more that we can raise, it's all about momentum and telling a story. So the first year we did Work Works, and that highlighted our employment programs. It was so cool. We had a video, we had clubhouses from around the world joining. Last year we did Wellness Works, and it was just like, oh my God, it was so exciting. We had example, Fountain House Stockholm used the campaign to forge a new relationship with the local wellness-focused university that's in Stockholm. We just have so many examples we had the first joint podcast between 2 clubhouses, and they've, focused on talking about wellness programming at their clubhouses. So a great opportunity. Clubhouse International provides toolkits and messaging graphics that are customizable to each clubhouse. And it's a great way. We partner with the World Federation for Mental Health and World Health Organization, and it's a great way to demonstrate the impact of the Clubhouse model. the USA conference is coming up October 26th to 28th in Salt Lake City, Utah. So absolutely hope that as many people can join that. It is a great way to be in person, to learn best practices and to share ideas and meet new people. It's really cool. The U.S. Advocacy Campaign, we're doing Clubhouse International is partnering with Fountain House and other organizations, mental health organizations, to run a U.S. advocacy campaign that I think will be super beneficial to Clubhouses. We will be delivering a toolkit with messaging and graphics, again, that we can the Clubhouses can share with their local officials and community leaders. And we're kicking off with a week of action in end of May, the last week of May. And Clubhouses can open their doors to local politicians and community leaders, even startup groups that don't have a Clubhouse yet, a physical space. They can share press releases with their constituencies and information about what's about the Clubhouse model and the Clubhouse network, and being able to really show that joint advocacy with the entire Clubhouse network.
Sounds like a lot of great events coming up to look forward to. I'd like to thank our guest today, Anna Sackett-Roundtree, for taking time out of her day to join us. Until next episode, we encourage you to check out our Instagram page under Empower Half an Hour. Have a great day, everyone.